Hi, everybody. It's Dr. Patricia Coughlin, and I want to speak to you today again about the vital importance of recognizing, strengthening, and aligning with the patient's unconscious therapeutic alliance. This is the internal healer, the part of the patient that is cooperating with you in the process of healing, even though it's often outside of the patient's conscious awareness. First of all, I want to let you know that I'm doing a full day webinar on this incredibly important concept on Monday, September 11th. I'm going to have a link to the registration right down under this video. And if you register this month in July, you will get an early bird discount. So I really want to encourage you to sign up for this. You're going to see me talk about the concept so we can really understand what is this thing we call the Unconscious Therapeutic Alliance. Again, how do you recognize it? How do you ally with it and strengthen it? And then I'm going to show you, I think, at least 3 different cases. And I want this to be a very interactive webinar. So instead of me just telling you where I'm seeing it, I'm going to show the video stop and ask you, right, where did you see evidence, both on a verbal and nonverbal level, of the activation of the Unconscious Therapeutic Alliance? So you want to be honing your skills and your ability to recognize these signs. And then I'm also going to be supervising 3 other of your colleagues. So you're going to see 3 more cases in the afternoon. And this is the kind of thing that's really helpful, is to be able to see lots of cases and lots of different examples of the UTA. And sometimes, again, it can surprise you. And I had a recent example of this myself. I just did a trial therapy a week or 2 ago. And this was a middle-aged man who was really living in, the neutral zone, very, very detached from his own feelings, needs, and desires, and then consequently detached from other people, including me. So even though he was physically present, he was intellectually, cognitively engaged, he was so detached that, nothing really therapeutic was going to happen as long as that was the case. So I started to point out all these ways that he would detach from himself, his own experience, and from me. And he would actually agree. So he wasn't highly resistant. He wasn't arguing with me. He'd say, yeah, I see that, And, can you see the consequence? Can you see the result and how this is actually directly responsible for your complaints in life? Yeah, I see that. But, I just don't know what to do about it. So then he'd fall into this helplessness. So in the follow-up to the initial, so I do the trial therapy 2 to 3 hours, then I'll do a 1-hour follow-up within a week. And again, he entered saying, yeah, I thought that was, it was really good. Haven't actually, thought about it very much. Haven't, and so again, here, in some way, right? Even that is unconscious alliance, right? Because even though he's consciously aware that he hasn't done anything, by him telling me that, right, he's alerting me, wow, this unconscious resistance is in the forefront, and unless it's addressed, we're going to fail. So I just immediately really went into a head-on collision with these defenses that were creating a resistance, and just keeping that pressure on and going for one defense after the other: detachment, intellectualization, distancing, helplessness, right? And what was he going to do about it? And I noticed this smile coming to his face. And initially, I just reflexively considered that another defense, a tactical defense. And I just said, well, this isn't funny, is it? I mean, this is the, what did I call it? Anyway, it was the mechanism that was squeezing the life out of him. And it was only over time that, and when I connected to how I felt when I really looked at his smile, that it was actually quite a warm smile. And it was a real smile, right, with his eyes as well. So I realized this is not just defensive. And I said, it almost looks like there's some positive feeling there. Is that accurate? And he said, oh, it's really positive. He said, I just feel so grateful. I mean, even though I didn't think much about it, I mean, you clearly have been thinking about it. You remember all kinds of things. You're paying really close attention to me, and I can tell you really want to help me. And so we focused on that feeling of gratitude and feeling moved, and it opened things up. And there was a direct link first to, so this man had been in many, many therapies throughout life, but only one therapist had helped him. And this is what came to mind. He said, it's like Dr. So and so, but just as I was getting better and my life was coming back online, he suddenly had a massive stroke. And I never saw him again. And even though he was alive, he was basically gone. And so in his mind, he had somehow connected him getting better with this man, as I think he even said, paying the price. Well, this seems odd, but then there was a link to the past. And it turns out that his younger sister, only 1 year younger, she was 16 and he was 17. One morning, she wasn't coming down to breakfast. They were calling her, no response. Finally, he goes up to her bedroom, finds her unconscious. It turns out she had had a massive stroke. She was never the same. And all the parents' attention went to her. And again, while it's easy, and I certainly initially thought, oh, he's going to be so angry at her and them, it turns out he was the much adored firstborn, and his parents were kind of hovering. And so the fact that their attention went to her freed him. So he was able to go to university, start a life of his own. But again, he felt like his freedom was paid for by his sister who suffered. So interesting. We tend to think that guilt has to be associated with, rage and guilt about rage. But in his case, it was like a survivor guilt that he was freed up at the very same time that someone very close to him suffered a devastating blow. And so again, it really was this unconscious, this smile that was the key. And my recognizing that was a sign from the alliance and not defense and resistance. We often confuse the two, and we see these signs from the alliance. We diagnose them really as more resistance. So I hope that's a good example, and that, again, it inspires you to sign up for this workshop on September 11th. Hope to see you there. Bye-bye.